All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 36 of the Yellow Card Podcast. With you, your senile birthday boy, Diego Galvez, turning 30. The dirty 30. It's hitting me hard. I mean, to the point that we're even recording late. We agreed to a 10 a.m. recording, and here it is, 10:20. Senile me just completely forgot. Thank you guys for pulling me back and saying, guys, we got to record. So with you, like I said, your host, Diego Galvez, my team, Andrew Fasciano, and Chris Jones. Fellas, how we doing?
Hanging in. Hanging in by a thread after this performance today from you.
I like it. And as always, the Yellow Card Podcast is presented to you by the Couch Guy Sports Network. Check out couchguysports.com for all your daily content on anything related to sports and entertainment. Make sure you follow Couch Guy Sports Twitter, and make sure that you're following them on YouTube, subscribing, or just giving some sort of support to any other podcast on the network. So episode 36, I mean, we're nearing the very end of what's been a fantastic football season, if I may say, throughout every single league in Europe. And we're gearing up for the Euros 2020, Copa America in South America. We got CONCACAF coming up as well. I mean, it's like as COVID is being taken care of here in the United States and people are opening up, it's like the lid just got taken off of these pot that's just been boiling for a while now. And we're going to get into far more soccer action as we gear up for the World Cup of Qatar 2022. So, Chris, I know you wrote a excellent article that I read last night in regards to what to expect for like the last week of European soccer tournaments throughout Europe. Take me through your thoughts, and let's get into some conversation here, because there's a lot going on too going into the off season. I mean, we got a lot to cover here. So, Chris, take us on, man.
I mean, who do you guys want to start? You guys want to start with DPL? Or do you want to finish with DPL?
I think we finished strong with the EPL because I feel like that's a hard finish waiting to happen.
Okay, so we can quickly talk about the Bundesliga then, because there's not much that you have to look forward to this weekend, because the top four already clinched for Champions League this year. It's Bayern, who obviously won the league again. Leipzig, who finished in second. Borussia Dortmund, who finished in third. When we were writing them off, they literally rattled off a bunch of wins down the line. And the surprise of the year is that Wolfsburg is clinched for the Champions League as well. So those four teams, real quick, any shocking surprises that we've seen in the Bundesliga this year before we move on?
Out of those four, I would say Wolfsburg is the one that surprises me the most. Just like you said, kind of flying under the radar a little bit out of those teams. Like, I wasn't super aware of what they could accomplish coming into the season. I think I would have liked to see Dortmund challenge for the title a little bit more than they did, to be honest, but I guess they had a fair amount of defensive issues. So perhaps next season will be better in that regard if they can strengthen their back line a little bit.
I think for me, the biggest surprise was Leipzig midpoint through the season. They pretty much had a powerful lead going through the Bundesliga. And then as the closing stages came through, they just dropped form significantly. I mean, ever since Upamecano agreed to be transferred to, I think, Real Madrid, if I'm not mistaken, or Liverpool, one of the two.
Who?
Upamecano. I think it's all possibly even Bayern Munich as well. Now that I think about it,
I think it is Bayern Munich. I don't know if it's been announced. I can't remember.
But ever since that announcement, he just absolutely dropped form, and the rest of the team dropped form in itself. I think another worthy surprise too is Bayern Leverkusen really not ending up in the top four, considering they have a good team in itself, a good foundation. I get it. They lost a powerful defender in Santiago Arias, who had a horrible and disgusting injury happen to him early in the season. So I get that, and that's a big spot to cover. I think the other surprise too was um, Mönchengladbach, because they did really good in the Champions League. They were doing really well in the Bundesliga, but all of a sudden, as soon as they left Champions League, it's like the whole entire morale just dropped, and they're finishing the season in seventh place with 49 points. It's not a bad finish, but I think they were deserveful of at least going into the Europa League, and they're missing out on that. So I think that's my biggest surprise when it comes to the Bundesliga.
Yeah, so it is Bayern Munich
Okay.
that he's going to. That's right. The big thing for me is I was just very hyped about Leverkusen, and they were looking good at the beginning of the season, and then the form just completely dropped towards the end, and they've slid down all the way to the sixth spot. So for me, I think that was kind of a big surprise. And I think with Andrew, nobody expected Wolfsburg to be in the top four. To see them in Champions League next year is going to be weird. But hey, it's what Champions League is all about. Sometimes you get to see the randoms, and here we are.
Yep.
But that's a quick take on the Bundesliga.
Okay.
Let's move into Ligue 1.
All right. Let's do it.
So we got, what is it? So we got two teams that are fighting for the League 1 title in Lille and PSG. AS Monaco is only 3 points back of Lille, but they have a horrendous goal differential compared to Lille and PSG. So they're trying to fight for the top two to qualify automatically for the Champions League rather than have to play it in the qualifying round. But they also have Lyon right behind them, 1 point behind them, looking to get into that qualifying round as well. So what has been your thoughts, and what do you expect as the matchups for this weekend? Lyon is playing Nice, Lille is playing Angers, Monaco's playing Lens, and PSG is playing Brest. What are your thoughts? Do you think the table changes at all? Do you think we see PSG win again for the 8th straight time? Do you think Lille wins for the first time since I think it's 2010, 2011? Yep, something like, yeah. Diego, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, number one, I think it's a big surprise to see Lyle being in top of PSG, considering that we don't know many things about the Lyle players and who they have in their foundation, but it's just a good meshed team that just has managed to perform really well with a 23-11-3 record. Then you look down to PSG, who is a power force and who obviously we thought could win the Champions League too this year. Unfortunately, that didn't come to fruition, but I think them being behind Lyle with the power that they have is just a bit surprising. But I mean, they're coming back to Champions League football and continuing to do what they're doing. Then I look at Monaco, who kind of have dropped to the bottom of the earth ever since the days when there was James Rodriguez and Radamel Falcao in their team. That was like their glory days. It's not because they're my Colombian favorite soccer players, but it's just because it's the truth. When they had that team, I mean, let's think about it. That team had Kylian Mbappe, Radamel Falcao, James Rodriguez, had oh God, why am I drawing a blank? I mean, basically had a phenomenal lineup that if they were to stay together, I think Monaco would be the reigning defending champion of the French league for many years. They could have been the power force, but they did things differently, and maybe things are working out. And I think then I look at Olympique Lyon, and I'm saying to myself, how did you end up fourth, considering that you could have gave a run to Lyle to fight for that position? So in overall, I mean, it's a surprising league. I think it's one of those, it's the league that kind of flew under everyone's radar, but it's a really competitive dark horse that nobody just kind of even bothered to look at. I'm excited to see how it finishes. I'd actually be really thrilled for Lyle to win the title, just because it's always either PSG, Monaco, or maybe even why am I drawing a blank? Maybe even Marseille, who we see winning all the time. I think it's good to see a little bit of change. So I'm hoping that Lyle capitalizes here and can do things right.
Well, the big thing for Lyle is they got that three-headed monster and Jonathan David, the 21-year-old Canadian, Björk, I'm trying to pronounce correctly, Björk Yilmaz from Turkey, the 35-year-old, leading the team in goals. And then you have guys like Jonathan Bamba, relatively young. You got Renato Sanchez, relatively young. They have some good young talented pieces that they've built this team around, and it's come together in a great way. So for them to win the title there, I think would be a bigger story because, you know, we've seen PSG's form at times in the Ligue 1 this year drop a little bit. So to see a team like Lille, who for the majority of their points has come on the road, not even at home. They're 13-4-1 against the road, which is on the road, which is much better than their home record, which they're 10-7-2. So it's been a fun season in the Ligue 1. Obviously, you know, we want PSG to be in Champions League next year, but it would be a little fun to see them have to go through the qualifier. So I'm kind of pulling for Ben Yedder and AS Monaco to pull off the upset here today, but I think the top two are already locked in, and it's all a matter of who wins the Ligue 1 title between Lille and PSG.
Yeah, Lille and PSG are both playing bottom half teams, so theoretically they should both hold serve and take care of business and keep themselves in the top two spots. But of course, as we all know, it's sometimes not quite that simple. One X factor, I guess you could been in those high pressure situations before where Lille has not, I think you could say. So maybe that's something to watch out for. Excuse me. But I would like to see Lille win. I think it would be a nice little change of pace in Ligue 1 because, as we've said, PSG have won it so many times in a row. Yeah, I would say I'm pleasantly surprised by how competitive this league has been this season. I didn't necessarily anticipate that coming in.
No, I don't think anybody did. Not even us. We're kind of like spot on with some stuff. Well, we did not do that coming. We figured PSG would run away with it, and unfortunately, he did not.
Also,
so let's move on.
Just a quick shout out to Turkish league winner Besiktas, who clinched the title just last week. It's one of those leagues that also flies under the radar, but it was highly contested between them and Galatasaray. So congratulations to Besiktas. Looking forward to seeing them in the in the Champions League returning after, I think it's a 5-year hiatus that they weren't part of it. So
also big shout out to our co-host Diego Alves that is celebrating his 35th birthday today. I'm just kidding. 30th. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to the Serie A. This Sunday is going to be very competitive. This is going to be a must-watch. 2:45 games. So obviously we have Inter Milan, who clinched the title the first time in a decade that they won the title. Juventus has dominated the Serie A the last decade or so. Atalanta's in second right now with 78 points. AC Milan's in third with 76. Napoli's in fourth with 76. And Juventus is fifth with 75. There are so many implications that could go down here. For starters, if we're looking at it, all Atalanta needs to do is win or draw against AC Milan, and they already qualified for the Champions League. AC Milan needs to win or get a loss from Napoli or Juventus to solidify that. Napoli needs a win or a loss from Juventus, and Juventus needs a win and a loss from either AC Milan or Napoli. The only thing is for Juventus is if AC Milan loses and Juventus draws, they can clinch because of the goal differential. Other than that, they have realistically no shot of making the Champions League. In a Champions League without Juventus, I need to get my heart broken a little bit. So I need some help on Sunday. What are your thoughts on the Serie A going into Sunday's final match day?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy how much is at stake for those teams in the spots 2nd through 5th. And especially given the fact that Atalanta and Milan are playing each other, that's like the storybook ending to the season if you want the most drama possible. But also congrats to Inter as well for clinching that title. I'm happy for Romelu Lukaku to see him doing well and winning titles.
I got the trivia haircut for a tour of Milan. Tour of Real.
There you go. Yeah, it would be crazy if Juventus ended up outside of the Champions League. I don't know when the last time that would have happened was, but I think they
Inter?
Juventus.
Oh, not making the Champions League or not winning the title?
Not making the Champions League. It has to have been a long time. But they do have, considering the fact that Atalanta and Milan are playing each other, they have somewhat of a favorable matchup against the 11th place team, Bologna. Napoli, I think, is playing another team that's fairly low down the table, Hellas Verona. So theoretically, you would favor those two. So I guess it will kind of come down to what happens between Atalanta and Milan. I think if you want soccer drama this weekend, that's up there amongst the games that you need to watch the most because, like you said, Chris, there's so much at stake between those two teams.
This is true. And the last time that they didn't qualify for the Champions League was the 20. It was right before they won their first Serie A title since 2006, 2007. So when they started their span in 2011, 2012, they were not in the Champions League.
Wow.
That's when Antonio Conte came in and rattled off 3 straight wins in the Serie A.
Nice.
Diego?
It's funny that this league has a lot of similarities to the English Premier League. You have 3rd, 4th, and 5th spot basically trying to clinch one way or another punch themselves a ticket into the Champions League. AC Milan has a lot of similarities to Leicester City. It looks like they have a strong season, but they just can't manage to close it. And I think in this instance, facing Atalanta, that's going to be proof of that because Atalanta has proven to be very physical against them, very driven and very results oriented, especially when it comes to AC Milan. All the trash talking that we see from Zlatan Ibrahimovic happen from here and there. It finally has to pay its dues. And while the Lion was able to tame the GOAT just not too long ago, that doesn't mean that you're still going into Champions League. And I think with Napoli and then in a tie potentially against I think they're facing Verona if I'm not mistaken. If even Napoli ends in a tie, all they have to do is tie and Milan loses but Juventus wins. Well, there's your 1, 2, 3, 4 teams right there. Juventus, Inter Milan, Atalanta, Napoli, and then AC Milan going to the Europa League again. But Napoli is also one of those teams too that could very well just melt down at the last minute, just because of their inconsistencies as well. They rely heavily on their main man, Ciro Immobile, and you can't just. There is no iron team we often hear, and this is one of those instances where that could prove to be absolutely correct. So it'd be interesting to see how this ending goes, but I actually think that unfortunately this might be the one time that we see Juventus back into the Europa League. There's just too many things hanging on by a thread, and unfortunately Juventus should have really had the power to and the power lineup to have clinched the title, maybe even second place, but they didn't do so. And I think relying heavily on what Cristiano Ronaldo has to offer to the game, this being his 2nd or 3rd season, I don't think it was really fair. So,
yeah. Well, here's the issue. If Juventus doesn't make Champions League, Cristiano Ronaldo is going elsewhere next season. There's not a chance we will see Cristiano Ronaldo play in the Europa League. It's not good for his brand. It's not good for his sponsors. It's not good for anything. Yeah. So if Juventus wants this guy on their team next year, which they definitely should because he's one of the greatest players to ever play this game, you do what you have to do. And you hope that Atalanta helps you out in return and beats AC Milan. So just looking at it, I mean, Atalanta's played fantastic all season. I don't see why they don't go all out here. I understand all they need is a draw, potentially. So, I don't know. I'm indifferent on it. AC Milan started off so hot, and then they literally tailed off the back end. So, I really would like to see – I want to see Napoli back in. I want to see Inter, Atalanta, Napoli, and Juventus. We got Lazio last year. Not this year. Roma is a year away, I think. I'm curious to see how Mourinho does for them. But I want to see if Juventus wants to flourish the way I think they want to, they need to be playing in the Champions League. You can't be settling for the Europa League. So, for me personally, I'm hoping it's 1 through 4, Inter, Atalanta, Napoli, Juventus.
Yeah. Yep.
As Diego's just aggressively rubbing his eyes because of allergies.
Yeah, you got a lot of fucking spring allergies, man. Oh,
They're the best and the worst. All right, let's move into La Liga.
all right.
La Liga, the top 4 for the Champions League have already been punched. Atletico, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Sevilla. But this is a big day for me, Diego, and you know this because we talked about this at the beginning of the year. The La Liga championship hangs in the balance. There's 2 teams fighting for it. Atletico and Real Madrid. At the beginning of the year, Diego looked at me, and when I told him that I thought that with Luis Suarez on this team, Atletico Madrid was going to win the La Liga, and said, you know what? I'm with you. Let's do it. It's going to be a fun year. Boy, the La Liga has not disappointed. No. Atletico Madrid's been fantastic all season long. Pretty sure Luis Suarez leads the league in goals, which is just a big kick in the dick to Barcelona. But Atletico is playing Valladolid, and Real Madrid's taking on Villarreal. So basically all Atletico has to do realistically is win. If Atletico wins the game, they win the La Liga. If you look at the standings, I believe they're 2 points ahead. So they literally, this is exactly what needs to happen. Real Madrid, they need either Atletico Madrid to lose and them to win, or Atletico Madrid to draw and have Real Madrid beat Villarreal by 4 more goals. What is the outcome you think we see?
Andrew or me?
Who wants to talk first? I don't care. Birthday boy talked first, last, okay. I think. So I'll start with the blue Power Ranger down here, Andrew Cassiano.
The blue Power Ranger?
Well, I hope Atletico Madrid win this title. I think, it would be a tough pill to swallow considering how well they've done all season if they fell short on the last day of the season to their hated rivals. Also, just generally speaking, I kind of prefer Atletico Madrid to the other giants in Spain, Real and Barcelona. So I like seeing them win. I like seeing them do well. And like you said, Chris, they have a team who's currently in the relegation zone, whereas Real Madrid actually have a pretty tough matchup against a Villarreal team who should be pretty high in confidence after beating Arsenal in the semifinals of the Europa League. So I think, like you said, Atletico Madrid, their destiny is entirely in their own hands. They just have to go out and take care of business, and no one else can pass them if they do that. So I hope that they do that, and I think they will do that. I think maybe they haven't been quite as good as they were earlier in the season when they were not really letting up any goals at all. But I still think they have enough in the tank to beat a team in the relegation zone in order to clinch the title.
Still, I mean, them only giving up 24 goals in 37 games in La Liga is unbelievable. And the thing is, for me, I'm looking at this, and there are reports that Jan Oblak might want to come to the Premier League after this season. So
this could be those reports are leading to us, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
That's why I'm saying it. But I would love to see Jan Oblak in the Premier League, but I want to see him win La Liga first. So for me, I said at the beginning of the year, I put my money where my mouth was. I looked right at Diego and I said, I'm doing this, and I'm going to make $800 when they win. And this is exactly what I'm going to do right now. So, Atletico Madrid. Do what you got to do, baby. All I'm going to say. Villarreal give Real Madrid hell. I don't want to see them blow you out. Not once. They played this year, and
dude, both games that they have played against Villarreal, they haven't managed to execute anything. The last game that they played was back in November of 2020, and they escaped with a 1-1 tie at the last minute. A Hail Mary, basically.
Yep.
Real Madrid just can't finish. They can't finish at all.
And Real Madrid in their last 5 are 3-2-0, and Atletico is 3-1-1. So that's a big difference right there as well. So based off of form, I think we all can agree that we'd love to see Atletico Madrid win.
Mm-hmm.
Solely based on the fact of my personal reasons and Diego not wanting Zinedine Zidane to get a title before leaving.
No. But the interesting thing too is that 3rd and 4th place still up for grabs.
Yeah.
Because Sevilla is playing Alaves, which is not really that much of a tough matchup for Sevilla, to be quite frankly honest here. But Barcelona, on the other hand, are playing Eibar, and Eibar has been a pest to them, considering that Barcelona has struggled against the bottom of the table. They struggle against Elche, they struggle against Granada, they struggle against Rayo Vallecano. They barely made it through against Atletico Club. I mean, it's been a difficult ride for Barcelona. Not to say that they can't finish, because they can. They have a very good team that they're starting to find their own stride as Ronald Koeman has been able to kind of learn a new way to coach besides of his own styles. But it'd be interesting to see what happens there too, because then you look at the 5th and 6th spot too, and Villarreal could be right back to the Europa League too. If they beat or tie Real Madrid and Real Betis loses against Celta de Vigo. So it's very interesting factor right now. That's a lot on the line there too.
There is 100%.
Sure, yeah.
And really quick, before we talk English Premier League, I completely forgot that I wanted to do this with you guys. EFL
Yes.
Championship. Obviously, we have Norwich City, who's won, so they're back up. Watford's in 2nd. We have to fight for 3rd still.
I said this in an article earlier in the season, and I'm gonna say it again. In the qualifying rounds, when Swansea played Manchester City, there was a clear message that they're coming back, because City struggles so hard to even beat them. And I think we see Swansea back into the English Premier League.
So here's why I'm saying. So the time that we're recording, Brentford has beaten Bournemouth 3-1, beat them on the aggregate. So Brentford is moving on to the final. Swansea and Barnsley. Swansea is up 1-0. Obviously, I think at least myself and Diego are taking Swansea here. Andrew, same boat?
I would agree with that, yeah.
So Swansea, Brentford in the final, the EFL, the last spot for the English Premier League 2021-2022 campaign on the line. Who you take?
I'm taking Swansea.
I'd go with Brentford personally. I think they were there a season ago, fell short to Fulham. I like the project they're building. Their recruitment has been really impressive, where they're able to find talented players and then sell them, like we saw with Saeed Benrahma, who they sold to West Ham, Ollie Watkins to Aston Villa. So I think they're going about things in a really nice, sustainable way, not just spending a bunch of money to try and get out of the championship, which I like. So nothing against Swansea. I like them as well, but I would enjoy seeing Brentford getting promoted.
Well, here's the thing. Brentford's been the better team all year.
Yeah.
And in their last 5, Brentford's 1-0, whereas Swansea is 1-2-2. So personally, I think the story, and I think just based off of seeing a team that could be a tough out for most of the top teams next year, I would like to see Swansea back in the EPL. I
mean, it's been almost 15 years or so that Swansea hasn't been into the English Premier League.
Well, this was like the story. This was like the story with Leeds last year. I mean, obviously Swansea's not winning the league title, but Leeds hasn't been in it since the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So having them back in it, and look where they are. They're top 10 right now.
Yeah.
They can't finish lower than 10.
I do like what Brentford is doing to Andrew's point. I mean, I look at their back three, for example, to begin with, Jansen, Nogard, and Beck Sorensen, like 3 really good upcoming talents defensively wise. Then you look down their front 3, Fozu, Tony, and Force, and they're good. Like they have a good chemistry. Fozu is really good down the middle at spreading the ball evenly. Tony is a great finisher, and Force is just an even better backup up front for Tony. But then I look at Swansea, and the only thing that I think back immediately to Swansea is what they did to kind of rebuild Daniel James, who in a while had been struggling with his career to get it going, and Swansea just kind of revived him. I look at their lineup. I look at Whitaker. I look at Smith. I look at Cullen, and I look at Lowe, and all really, really great talents too, young talents that deserve a shot to be playing in the English Premier League. So I think both teams are building a great story. I think this is actually a very good ending. I think either team that makes it is obviously deserveful. But I personally, just because there used to be a very nice rivalry between Manchester United and Swansea that was just competitive only, I would like to see that back. And I know that Manchester City was also developing a rivalry with Swansea, and so was Leicester City as well. So I would just like to see that. That's all.
Okay. Moving on to the final league, English Premier League. Obviously, top 2 for the Champions League have been qualified already. Man City winning the league for the 3rd time in 4 years. Manchester United solidifying themselves as the number 2. No team can pass them. Chelsea, Liverpool, Leicester City. 2 teams going to Champions League. 1 team is going to the Europa League next year. Chelsea sits at 3rd with 67 points. Liverpool sits at 4th with 66. Leicester is in 5th with 66 as well. But Liverpool has the goal differential advantage over Leicester City. Leicester City is taking on Tottenham at home. Chelsea is on the road at Aston Villa, which is not an easy game. And Liverpool is home against Crystal Palace.
Which is also not an easy game either.
It is not. Agreed. So basically, what each team needs, Chelsea just needs a win or a loss from either Liverpool or Leicester City. Liverpool needs a win or a loss from Leicester City. Leicester City needs a win and a Liverpool or Chelsea loss or a Liverpool draw. What are we thinking, boys? Because for me personally, I don't want to say that I've called Leicester City being in this predicament, but I've called Leicester City being in this predicament. They were sitting high up, and the slow decline. Boy, is it ever so sweet.
I'm gonna put this out there, and I know you both are gonna disagree, but for some odd reason, I see it happening. I hope it doesn't happen, but I just see it happening. I think that Chelsea's ending here in the Champions League final was a combination of 2 things: a bit of a fluke, and having Thomas Tuchel come in the middle of the season to kind of take over the reins of that team, but a bit of luck as well. Games going in their favor, a lot of back and forth that they were able to capitalize at the last minute. So I think them being in the UEFA Champions League final is a bit of a fluke, bit of fortune on their side that potentially could lead them to ending with a Champions League title. However, it comes back down to the locality of things. And I think that seeing how good Aston Villa was in the last game, I actually think that this could end potentially with a Chelsea tie, which puts them at 68 points, but Leicester City winning, putting them at 69 points. Leicester and Liverpool moving on to the Champions League, and Chelsea competing for the Europa League.
But so say they win the Champions League, right?
Yeah.
Don't they automatically qualify for the following year?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. So that now would leave West Ham to go to the Europa League. So everybody wins basically.
If that happens, yeah. You know who doesn't win in that situation?
Liverpool.
Manchester City.
Well, that too. Yeah, that too.
Because think of it like this: the one trophy that Pep hasn't gotten at Man City is the Champions League title, and he's going to do everything that it takes to get that. So I do think we're going to get a Chelsea win on Sunday. We're going to get a win from Liverpool against Palace, and I think Leicester and Tottenham are going to end up in a draw.
Okay.
I don't think Leicester loses. I just don't think they win.
Yeah, I personally would love Leicester to beat Tottenham because that would then open the door for Everton to sneak into the final European spot. I think, to be honest, I think Leicester, out of those three, I see the Leicester-Tottenham game as the toughest matchup out of those three teams.
Wow. Okay.
That being said, I could see all three of those teams winning, which would just keep things as they are right now, with Leicester being the team that misses out. I kind of like the Leicester underdog story. It was nice to see them get the FA Cup, but just with the way things are trending, I can't really see Liverpool or Chelsea losing their games that they have, given what's on the line. So I think, unfortunately, Leicester might be the team that misses out of those three.
Oh, I mean, I've been saying it for months, but yeah.
Which either way, if you think about it, if you think about how Leicester has been developing their history thus far, it's really not a bad spot for them to end either way, because
it's not.
Yeah.
Since the beginning that they came back to the English Premier League, they won the freaking title the next season, which is unheard of in any other team, right? They just won their first ever FA Cup, which is a big deal for them, and it should be a big deal.
Yep.
They're continuing to build a really great foundation. What better than to possibly win the Europa League?
Yeah.
Seeing the teams that are qualifying so far for the Europa League, if there's anybody that has a clear shot at winning it, it's Leicester City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. They had a clear shot of winning it this year, and they choked up a little bit.
Yeah. They did,
So,
but then they're not going to have to deal with Manchester United in there at all.
True.
So
this is true. Maybe we saw what happened last year in the Champions League. That's all I'll say.
Well,
You never know.
I hope not. I hope not personally, because the Champions League is much better when teams like Manchester United are in it. But we saw what happened last year.
I'll say this: they don't have to worry about fighting with Manchester United again to qualify for either Champions or Europa League.
Okay, even better. It's fine. I'll take that. That's fine. So, Faciana, you said you were hoping that Tottenham could lose so that you could sneak into that spot.
Yes.
And so basically, you were hoping that you could just get a draw against Manchester City.
Yeah. Well, on paper, Everton can't beat Manchester City if they're playing at full strength, but
They won't because
there are two things. Go ahead.
They won't, because they're already clinched. They're going to rest for the Champions League.
Right. Yeah. That's one factor. They're probably going to rest for the Champions League. The second factor is that Everton have been much, much better on the road than at home this season, and this game is at the Etihad. So those are two things going in favor for Everton.
You know, it would be a wild one if Arsenal somehow snuck in over Tottenham and Everton.
Yeah, that would be tough. I believe that 7th spot is for the Conference League, which is the new European competition. So it's not the Europa League, which theoretically, whichever English team gets into that competition should be
win.
The heavy favorites to win it. Yeah.
Yep.
If you look at the other teams that are in it.
So if that's the case, man, let's go Everton.
Yeah, that would be cool.
We need Everton to get a trophy.
The People's Club.
For Ancelotti.
The People's Club, exactly. Yeah. So
this is it started off being the Faciano's club. Now it's the Yellow Card Podcast collective club.
I know. I feel like such a bandwagon because, since 1994, ever since I understood the game, like 3 years into being born and I started understanding the game, I've always been a Manchester United fan. But I think as of recent, as I see the things that we had done basically to kind of humiliate ourselves and drop our brand significantly, because look at who's now sponsoring us. We don't have Nike. We don't have a big firm. We have TeamViewer. First of all, who in their right fucking mind hired TeamViewer to begin with, considering that it's a software that nobody ever uses except maybe a few enterprises here in the United States that are all run by rich people. Secondary to that, the European League thing, the European Super League, the Glazers wanting to be the chairman of that fucking league. Are you that stupid? Like, did you fall off the freaking pickle wagon, or did your mom drop you on your head? Basically, it's what it comes down to. And then lastly, like, just the way that, like, there was no transparency at all in this club at all. We just kind of let go of players back and forth, transfer one another and whatnot. And like, I look at the final example of like what happened with Jesse Lingard, a guy that was so underutilized in Manchester United, beyond underutilized, because he had names like Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes overshadowing him. But say you were to use Jesse Lingard with Bruno Fernandes in that midfield to disperse the ball over to somebody like Edison Cavani or maybe even Marcus Rashford. What makes you say that Manchester United wouldn't have won the Champions League, the Premier League this year with those two, considering the form that Jesse Lingard was in? So, I kind of, since then, I kind of been like, I'm a low-key Everton supporter. I'm not a fan, I'll say that. But like, if Manchester United was to be, which this is another thing too that we need to talk about, and quickly, we still don't have any word on what are the repercussions to come with the European Super League. We can have all of our predictions and whatnot, but there is still one big man that needs to make that decision, and that is Alexander Safarin at FIFA. And he could just say, you know what? No, we're gonna make the Champions League something different. That could send literally West Ham, Tottenham, Everton, and Arsenal directly into the Champions League.
No, Leicester.
Oh, Leicester. I'm sorry. Yes. Leicester, West Ham, Tottenham, and Everton. Straight to the
wouldn't it be Champions League? It would be Leeds, right? Because Tottenham and Arsenal were both involved as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Leeds, yeah. So Leeds and Villa.
It'd be Leicester, West Ham, Everton, and Leeds.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh God. You're lucky I can read and count.
Here's what I'll say. My final thoughts on this game this weekend. I'm going in with absolutely zero expectations for Everton. Too many times over the years, we've been in situations like this where you win the game, you get something nice, and just laid a complete goose egg. So I'm trying to keep my expectations as low as possible.
Well, I mean, isn't that the ritual as an Everton fan?
Exactly. You can't support Everton and expect nice things, right? That's why they're all the more special when they do happen. But yes. I think I have a feeling we're going to end up really regretting that loss to Sheffield United last weekend, because if we had won that game, we'd be on 62 points right now in 7th place ahead of Tottenham. And then we would be in control of our own destiny, which is not the case because we lost to the worst team in the league at home with major European implications on the line. So you never know. They could pull a rabbit out of the hat, but I'm keeping my expectations low for sure.
All right. And I just have one quick question. We talked about it last podcast, but I'm going to bring it up again. Who do we really think it's, number one, what's going to happen with Lionel Messi? And number two, what's going to happen at Real Madrid management-wise?
Yeah, so
I don't know. Hold on, Diego. Let me pull up your article real quick so I can say it again.
Well, the latest huge development in the Leo Messi saga is that Sergio Aguero is confirmed by Fabrizio Romano going to Barcelona for next season. So if you're Barcelona and you're trying to convince Messi to stick around, I think that was the move. Right. I think that was entirely their goal there, with bringing in a high-profile player, also another Argentinian player, so he knows Messi well through the national team. Definitely an incentive for Messi to stay and play with him. I also saw rumors that they were maybe trying to sign Memphis Depay as well, so that would be another nice piece to give Messi a little bit more help on the attack. But I think that's what they have to do to keep him around, because at the moment they're not the most appealing option to try and win trophies for someone in the latter portion of his career. So if they keep doing that,
they need to make sure that Antoine Griezmann is not on the books next year. That's another thing.
That's a given. That's an absolute given. But I will say this to you, Barcelona fans listening out there: do not ride very high on the Memphis Depay trade. We saw that happen at Manchester United, complete collapse. And he was under two really good managers at the time, Van Gaal and Jose Mourinho, and he sucked. He absolutely sucked. Never mind the fact that Ronald Koeman is very much like Jose Mourinho. So just keep that in mind. Do not write very high on him. He is a talented player, but I just don't think he does very well when it comes to severe changes. And I think seeing how the French league compares to the Spanish league is complete different. It's complete 180 turn around. But then it comes to Zidane, right? And I'm liking what Barcelona is up to. I'm liking that they're kind of shaping up with a brighter future. I just think that you're putting your chips all in the table in the wrong places. But who knows? It might work out. That is a beautiful thing of the game. It's just a sheer luck sometimes. But when it comes to Zinedine Zidane, I think it's gonna be Joachim Low who takes over that management position.
I think it's gonna be. I did just everything I read just screams Massimiliano Allegri.
I mean, I like Massimiliano Allegri. Don't get me wrong, I like him a lot, and I think he would be a great fit for the Spanish league, considering his style of management and the style of play that he likes to put together for his teams. But I'm thinking of somebody that just is ready to rebuild his team severely, and seeing how he did with the German national team, that he just solely focused on the locality aspect of things and really focused on the youth part of things. That's where I can see Joaquim Low just having an edge over Allegri. I like Raul Gonzalez too, don't get me wrong. And I even like Guti Fernandez as well, just because of their history with the club and how they breed basically that energy of what the people want. I just don't think it's their time yet. I think it'd be exactly like what it would be like with Frank Lampard at Chelsea. It just wasn't his time yet. I think if he had been molded at other teams to then have severe management skills, Lampard could have easily just been a stud in Chelsea's management. But I just think of Joaquin Low, and I just think that he can really dig deep, and with his style of management and that knowledge that he carries, I really think that he could bring it for Real Madrid.
He definitely could. I don't know. It just
don't get me wrong. I like to see Allegri back into management. I'd love to see the guy back.
I'm just waiting to see what happens, honestly. At this rate, I'm just waiting to see.
But Allegri could also be. I don't think Tottenham has decided yet on a manager.
No, because they were looking at Nagelsmann, right?
Yeah, but Nagelsmann is going to Bayern.
Yeah,
I heard some Nuno rumors now that he's leaving Wolves as well. Maybe linked.
But that got completely denied earlier in a report. Yeah, that got completely denied. I'd love to see Nuno Espirito Santos going to Tottenham. I think that's a phenomenal promotion for the guy, basically, because Wolves hasn't really gotten out of their own ways. They just focus on Portuguese players only, and that's it. I think that'd be beautiful for Nuno, but I just don't think I really don't think at all that that's his spot. I actually think Nuno could potentially go somewhere like in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I'm sure someone will want to pick him up after the job that he did, especially last season with Wolves. He shouldn't stay out of a job for too long, I would guess.
I agree.
Just real quick before we wrap things up, I wanted to give a shout out to what Ajax did this past week with their Eredivisie trophy that they won, where they melted it down and like made the little stars to give to all their season ticket holders. I thought that was really cool. Nice way to thank the fans after the past year plus where fans haven't really been able to see games in person. So good job, Ajax. 2 thumbs up for me for that one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, all right. So that basically wraps it up for episode 36. We'll look forward to start talking some of that World Cup and MLS stuff, because the MLS is also heating up very fast and very powerfully. So can't wait to talk that. But until next week, your birthday boy, Diego Galvez. number 30 here in the house. Andrew Fasciano, the ever magical one, and the people's host. And the You Never Walk Alone, Chris Jones himself. So signing off for episode 36. Thank you all very much for tuning in and for listening. Appreciate you all. Make sure that you follow the podcast Twitter page, which is a podcast card. Make sure that you're following Couch Guy Sports as well. And listen, I know we haven't been on Twitch as of the past couple of weeks, but we will be back on. Just keep an eye out for that. Until next week, see you guys.